Hey everybody, welcome to the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson,
And I'm Tom Hoblin.
and we were off last week from Michigan. We just could find no time to record the show, but we are back. We're going to be talking a little bit of Daytona, a little bit of this 2025 schedule that is set to be released tomorrow, but we already know what is in it, and we are going to be digging into Darlington. But before we get into all that, let's kick off with our diecast of the week. Tom, what you got for us, buddy?
All right. I just figured out to lean into it, and I'm gonna pull out my only Wood Brothers diecast again. Just an old toy version, probably $10 version we got at Toys R Us. But this is the Elliott Sadler 50th anniversary Wood Brothers thing. I was looking at pictures. I don't think this ever raced. Like I never saw pictures of an orange Wood Brothers car, but I saw this
Really?
car when I looked up the pictures. Um, just a lot of fun. I love the old contingencies. I wish we had more contingencies and whatnot. And then you're not gonna be able to see it, but there's like a little Wood Brothers logo on the B
Oh, hell
poster,
yeah.
which is fun, celebrating the 50th. So cool little piece to have.
Yeah, nice old classic diecast.
Yeah.
Same for me as well. I'm going with my Ernie Irvin
Ooh,
1996 Ford Thunderbird
throwback.
diecast. Found this at just like an antique shop. It was like 20 bucks. I was like, oh hell yeah, I gotta grab that. Beautiful.
Hmm.
Gotta love the Haveline on there. Just classic.
Iconic
Um,
car.
oh
Iconic
yeah.
car.
Had to bust this out since we're going to Darlington and always got to talk throwbacks, even though it's not technically throwback weekend, which is sad.
I've
Southern
seen some
500.
Xfinity drivers say like F it, we're running throwbacks this week. And like Ross Chastain, I think, is doing a not a throwback car, but a throwback Busch beer logo. So some
Hmm.
people are still leaning into the history of the track.
Yeah, that's why I like a lot of teams are just like, fuck it, we'll use both dates
Yeah.
for throwbacks,
Yeah.
which
Why not?
I'm not mad about. We get some cool ass paint schemes with that. So
Right.
I'm excited for this weekend. Darlington Lady in Black's one of my favorite tracks of all time. Definitely on my bucket list to go there too.
Yeah, and the Southern 500 is always a slog. And as fun as Daytona is ending the regular season, I don't think Darlington, the Southern 500, will be any less dramatic, but we'll get into that
Oh,
later.
oh yeah, it will not disappoint. But guys, we just got hit with some big news today, and tomorrow we will be seeing the 2025 schedule. But our good friend Jordan Bianchi over at The Athletic already posted the schedule for us. What a great man. I
Happy
was looking,
2024. You live in the modern age where no news is new. Everything everybody already knows by the time it's official.
yeah,
It's kind of disenchanting, if you will. But
pretty crazy, but some big ones here. NASCAR is going to be racing in Mexico City next year for the Cup Series. We have seen the Xfinity Series go down there before, but this will be the Cup Series first international race ever. I think that is fantastic. First
points paying.
points paying
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they have gone to Japan for exhibition
Hmm.
races. But this is going to be awesome. Something different. They're already expecting a sold out crowd for this thing. I'm so excited to see NASCAR go international.
Oh yeah, it's good. Unfortunately, you lose a Richmond date, and Richmond has been hit or miss. This, I mean, kind of pun intended there, but um, been hit or miss in these past recent years. And yeah, it sucks to lose another short track, but the short track product is no good with this car. And unfortunately, you have one philosophy that's the quick fix is to leave the track, or you have the long fix of fixing the car. And NASCAR's choosing to leave the track. But I still think Mexico is a good point. People are concerned about the distance, but Bozy on Twitter, he's a IMSA mechanic, but he used to work in NASCAR. He's still very knowledgeable in the whole NASCAR, and he's got a lot of friends in the right places. He pointed out that Mexico City, driving wise, isn't as far as Phoenix, Portland, LA. So like it's not out of the ordinary for these teams to drive from central North Carolina to Mexico City. So I can't see how, other than racism, xenophobia, that people think this is a bad move. Expand the markets. They're expecting this to be the most attended NASCAR race maybe ever. Um, and I think it's going to be really fun to see.
Yeah, definitely. The only guy I can think of that thinks that this is a real bad idea is your boy Kyle Busch.
Well, Brett Griffin, but yeah,
Well, Brett Griffin too. Yeah,
yeah,
well,
the
I mean,
jury's out. The jury's out on whether Kyle Busch will be allowed back in the country, but Even Kyle was tweeting that he's excited to go back and defend one of his Xfinity wins. So maybe they got that whole situation figured out.
Yeah, I don't know because they said he was facing like 3 years of prison. I thought he
Uh,
like paid him off, and they're like, "All right, you're free to go, but never come back here." So we'll see when he enters the country if they
I saw
they
this
just take
tweet.
him.
I saw this tweet. They're like Lee Diffie calling the end of the NASCAR race. They're like the authorities were telling him to put his hands up when he was detained for having a gun, but now he'll throw his hands up in victory. Like, oh my God.
Oh,
Uh,
damn, that's good.
how good can I go on a tangent before we get more into the schedule? How good was Lee Diffie at Daytona?
Oh, he
Oh,
was
mm,
fantastic.
Our friend NASCAR Chasm said it best. He's like, it's like he's already seen the race and he's telling us about it as it happened. Like it just he knows what to say and when to say it. It's excellent. Lee Diffie, you have all our defense. I don't understand the hate because he has an accent. People don't like it. Like, come on, get over yourself.
Yep,
Anyway,
just the call, just
yeah.
Jeff, your little boy has done it. That just
Uh,
sends chills down my spine. Just
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
incredible.
It's
But yeah,
fantastic.
before we dig into more about Daytona, let's dig into more of the schedule. We know that Bowman Gray Stadium is going to be hosting the Clash for next season, replacing the LA Coliseum, which I am not a big fan of. We have seen some of the worst racing at Bowman Gray Stadium. Just the worst comes out of these drivers. The track is a complete circle, right?
Well, it's basically the
Right.
Coliseum just in a smaller stadium.
Okay, yeah. I
Um,
didn't know if this was a track where it was like just a circle.
no, I think you're thinking of Berlin.
Yeah,
Um, frankly, it might be fun to see the Cup cars at Berlin. Uh,
yeah.
but I just, first of all, I feel like this was a NASCAR hedging their bets for like, hey, we're going to Mexico. Let's make the old fans happy. But then if they were going to do it that way, they announced it backwards. They should have announced Mexico before Bowman Gray. Like, hey, we know you're mad. You're losing a race in Richmond, but we're giving you Bowman Gray.
hmm
Um, I think Northern North Carolina in February might be interesting weather-wise. Um, and again, the whole point of the Clash, it was non-points paying race. It didn't matter. Bring your product to places that aren't used to it. And that's what they tried to prove with LA. So for them to step back from LA and go to Bowman Gray, it doesn't make too much sense just from a marketing standpoint. Who are you trying to reach with this non-points paying race? And it's like it's going to have the same effect that like the first year the LA Clash. It's like, yeah, everybody's going to show up for the first one, but then like, will these people want to go back out for the Cup race at Bowman Gray after year two when it's still 40 degrees at night? And it's just it doesn't make sense. These people have already seen racing. It's not novel enough for them to brave the weather. Um, and I'm sure the first year will kind of show us how it goes. But I agree with you. I don't think it's the greatest idea. With what they proved, what they could do in LA, they needed to take this somewhere else.
Yeah, just like you said, definitely a step back from what we were going towards because we can do so much with the Clash. We can just
Mm.
do some of the wildest things, and we're going to a track that has been proven that if it's just a mayhem house, that's all it is. It just breeds chaos.
I don't understand with how this car is on both the short tracks and the super speedways. I feel like they could bring back speed weeks and use it as a big testing session back in Daytona. You bring them down there for 2 weeks and like, we're gonna try this to make the car better. We're gonna try this to make the car better. Okay, the Clash, we're gonna mix these couple things we saw in these tests to make maybe the racing better. Maybe they figure something out for Daytona. Obviously, wouldn't be able to implement it for Daytona, but maybe later down in the line in the season. Um, and it's just like, if we're going to do this at Bowman Gray, why not just go back to Daytona? I guess the one
Uh,
pro is that this is in the team's backyards and it's not going to be too expensive for them to run a non-points paying race. Because that was the biggest gripe I was hearing basically from the NASCAR insiders was that you do all this and it's not even worth any points. You spend all this money,
yeah.
you go stay in hotels in one of the most expensive cities in the country, you drive all that way. Um, and how do you get people to keep showing up for the Clash? Well, you drop it the 60 feet away from the nearest race shop.
Yeah. pretty much. So that's the only positive
Mhm.
I can think about. But
Yeah.
when you held the Clash at Daytona, you brought, multiple cars down there. You brought your Clash car, you brought your Daytona 500 car, and they were able to stay down there for the 2 weeks that it was. And it was perfect. It was a nice little
Hmm.
vacation for all the crew members too. And now it just seems like more busy work for them
Yeah, and a
with
good way to
moving it
ease
all
into it.
around.
Yeah, you're gonna do the Daytona 500, but and then go on this crazy 36 long week long schedule, but at least you get to start it with 2.5 weeks in one spot to kind of ease your way into that. But no, it's just another week, another time. Maybe you can get some money out of it. Probably not.
Yeah,
And if
we
you're gonna do
shall
it at somewhere
see.
this small, make it back to poll winners. Like, don't invite everybody. Earn your way into the clash.
Yeah, exactly.
Make it actually the one thing that's worth winning you're in.
Yeah, for real. Should earn your way in for the Clash. All right, and then our last little bit of schedule news, Easter weekend will be the only off weekend for NASCAR for the Cup Series. I think that's great. We've been seeing Bristol for the past few years, and a lot of people haven't been able to watch it just because it's a holiday, spending time with family. So I think this is great. Give all the team members, all the drivers that weekend off to spend with their family. Perfect. No one needs NASCAR on Easter.
Just a couple quick notes because you're kind of telling me that this leaked as we came to air here. Um, I I wasn't sure how I'd like it this year, but it worked really well for NASCAR's momentum to go Daytona 500 straight into Atlanta. I'm glad that stayed because
Hmm.
you bring in these random fans that see the Daytona 500, it's like, oh, I hope this is like this every week. And you get into Atlanta, it's very much like it, and then you move on to the rest of the race. Coda, March 2nd, interesting. Homestead moves into March as we suspected. And then all the way to the end, I love the end of the regular season. You go Watkins Glen, Richmond, Daytona, road course, short track, Daytona. I think that's
Hmm.
the perfect way to end the regular season. The road course guys can get all the points they want at the road course. The short track can be anyone's game. Daytona can be anyone's game. I really think that's a great way to end the regular season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I saw Michigan was moved from August to June as well. So who knows? Might be a little bit
Yeah, maybe that
cooler.
might help the weather there too.
Yeah, the
Who
rain,
knows?
because rains all the time up there
Hmm.
in August. So we shall see how that helps. But so far, I'm okay with the
I like the
schedule.
schedule. I
The
like the
playoffs are a
schedule.
little wonky,
Hmm.
but it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, Talladega. There's the argument that says Talladega being the third to last race of the season is a stretch. But by that point, you've weaned out half the playoff group. Yeah, some playoff guys are inevitably going to get caught up in something there. You can't really control the car in the playoff at a super speedway race, but less guys in the playoffs means less the playoffs are expected. You're not going to see Harrison Burton get into the round of four, the championship four, by winning Talladega. You're just going to see some other guys maybe get close to being beat at Talladega. And even by that point in the season, we see the playoff drivers consistently rising towards the top. So I was offended initially when I heard it, but I'm coming back down. I think it's okay. We're very reactionary as NASCAR fans. Just wait to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I see what you mean on that point, and honestly, it does look better than it being in like the round of 16 or the round of 12
Hmm.
and having
It's almost more
someone.
volatile
It really
in
is, because you could
yeah,
get someone like Harrison Burton or someone else
right.
that's really not deserving of winning a championship being able to move further. But if you put it
Yeah.
into the round of eight, and then you get like, your main eight guys that you would expect to be
Hmm.
coming this far, being able to race for it. Yeah, you know what, Tom? Now that you say that, it seems more reasonable.
Right. And again, this is all Dale Jr.'s opinion that he kind of sold me on too from the download last week or so. Um, but just like, again, if it's in the round of 16, you could have driver rank number 17 come in and win and take a spot, or I guess driver 15, excuse me, take a spot from somebody who maybe more deserved that spot to go in.
Right.
But that's the nature of the playoffs, and that's the nature of the system that we live in.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. It really not going to change much at all with
Right.
these playoffs. Alrighty, well, let's get into Daytona. Ryan Truex He won this weekend for the third time, and it wasn't at Dover. His first two wins came at the Monster Mile, and he finally got it done at the Super Speedway. Did something that his brother couldn't do and win on one of these drafting tracks. So pretty amazing, and just so cool to see Ryan Truex succeed after all these years of just struggling to just even try and get into a top tier car.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, his brother has a lot to do with pushing me like, "Hey, he can do it. Ryan's great." It's tough to see that Toyota branding on the car, no matter how skilled you are, if you don't have the financial backing. We know the nature of the sport here. But Ryan Truex does have a better win percentage this season than the Chicago White Sox. So, so um, it's that's got to be put nice. And now he's shown us he can win in multiple places. The Toyotas were just fast on Friday night. So it's good to see if you're a Toyota fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Just so good for this guy. I just hope that this will open up something for him to get a
Mhm.
full-time ride in this series.
For sure, for sure. And I think he deserves a chance to actually show what he can do. And why not? Give him a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then moving on to Saturday. Harrison Burton wins and he gets into the playoffs coming from 34th in points, last place regular season driver, and he makes his way into the playoffs. He's able to compete for a championship. So cool that he got to win. So cool that his father was in the booth. And even cooler call by Lee Diffie. But I hate that the winning you're in is kind of overshadowing it and everyone's hating on it because it's it's just crazy to me
Right.
that he's able to just run like shit all year and he gets one win and now he's in the playoffs.
But that's what NASCAR sells us on. These drivers do not have to race in this series. They are talented drivers. They can go to other series, other motorsports. They can go run the cars tour or whatnot. They know what they sign up for when they strap in at the Clash, when they strap into the Daytona 500. Um, Again, as I said, fans are reactionary. In the moment, yeah, it really sucks. I mean, who do I got sitting over my shoulder right here? Coming across the line second again at a super speedway. Really hurt, especially when it was to somebody 34th in points. But they all know what they're getting into. And Kyle had 24 other races to find victory lane, just as Harrison Burton did. And Kyle has not had the great season either. And he was in the same position Harrison was in. Um, I will say some commentary have been like, this is the way it's always been, which is the point I'm kind of making, but more so they signed up for it this season. But this is also not the way it's always been because this is the first year they took away the 30th in points
Hmm.
provision. Um, and it's funny that in the past couple of weeks, we've seen two drivers below 30th in points make a serious grab at a playoff spot. Is that why people are so upset? I think when you take a step back and you look at this as a season and as a rules package we've now been running for many years now, I don't think we need to have the knee jerk reaction of adding the 30th point provisional, going back to the old chase format, going back to whatever, this, that, and the other. We need to sit with something and deal with it, even if every once in a while, you get a wild card team that shows up and beats your ass in the first round. I know this isn't the first round. I don't think Harrison Burton's going to go through the first round, but they all sign up. They all know the game. They're all playing the same game. It's not like the deck is stacked against one driver or the other. They're all playing the same game. They all signed up for it the season. So, frankly, I don't think anything should be taken away from Harrison Burton. He went out there, he earned this. He was on the track just like everybody else. He drove through the same wrecks, ran the same amount of laps as anybody else in this race, and got it done. And that's really special.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. He doesn't deserve to have anything taken away from him. He did what he did and with the rules that are set in place, but I have not liked the win and you're in rule for pretty much as long as it's been implemented into the sport. I thought it was kind of bullshit because you're gonna have a guy who could just be so consistent all year, but not make it in because you're gonna get
Mm-hmm.
16 winners in one season.
We're going to see
Um,
that this year, and we've seen it in the past.
yeah, I think it's I don't know, it's very gimmicky to me. I don't know. I'm just not I've never been a fan of it. And even this year with seeing Austin Dillon and Harrison Burton,
Hmm.
well, they took away Austin Dillon's, but
Right.
Harrison Burton being able to do that, I'm like, okay, this is getting a little ridiculous. I'm not bashing him for winning. I think the win is awesome. And I think it would be
Hmm.
in way more positive light if it was like, yeah, he won, but he's not in the playoffs. Like, I
Yeah.
think that would just be way
Which
cooler
is what
and
the
way more
30th in
positive.
points provisional had tried to protect against.
Yeah. And I
And I'm
just
not
don't
sure why they
understand.
took it away. I'm
No,
really not.
it doesn't make
Um,
any sense.
I mean, our points leader has 823 points. Harrison Burton right now, where is he? 34. He's still down in last place in full points. He has 306 points.
Hmm.
So he's 520 points behind these guys. I mean, that's a bit ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just like so many other drivers have put in like so much more
Hmm.
work, I feel like, and just, you know, they were able to race up front, and this guy's been in the
But
back the whole
I don't
time.
know if that's fair to say that drivers have put in more work. I mean,
Well, I
again,
wouldn't,
they're all out there.
well,
They're all
they've done
starting.
better.
If Harrison Burton is a start and park car, this might be a different conversation. If he's actively running 20 laps a race or finishing stage one and be like, all right, that's good enough. But he's finishing races when he doesn't crash out and he's running in the back. And this is the nature of super speedway racing. I mean, you could argue that Daniel Suarez is in the same booth. And Dale Jr. brought this up on his podcast. I hate to keep going back to him again, but he's saying, do you have the same reaction when Ricky Stenhouse, Michael McDowell win the Daytona 500? Or are you just mad about it because it's at the end of the season and you have a corpus of work to look back on?
Well, okay. With
Is it the same thing? And
I
I'm willing
did
to hear whether it is or not.
I did have the same reaction. I was
Hmm.
like, okay, they win and they're in.
They're in the playoffs, and that
I
47
was
car
like,
will be in the playoffs,
okay,
get knocked out first round.
and yeah, and then he's gonna run like shit the whole season. But Michael McDowell, when he got that Daytona 500 win, it opened up something in him
Hmm.
and it made him a better driver. So I hope it
Yeah,
does the same thing with Harrison Burton. I mean, dude doesn't have a full-time cup ride, and we don't even know where he's gonna be running next year. So we
right.
hope this opens up something, but we've seen the
Frankly, Josh
equipment.
Berry's got to be happy about this
Yeah, dude,
because this
watching.
gets the team more money, and you get money based off your average finish over 3 years. Um, so the team will be in a much better spot here. And so it's more like when Michael McDowell last year and he won Indy Road Course and he's sitting on Denny's podcast the next day and he's like, yeah, man, we don't have a Hawkeye yet, but now that we're going to finish at least 16th in points, we're going to get this stuff and it's going to be better. And look at front row.
Yeah, they've
Look at their
been
performance. They've
absolutely
been
incredible.
so good this season. They have the speed. They've been able to dial some stuff in. So if this type of win is something we're going to have to see once every few years, but it's going to make these lower teams again, also one of the most historic teams, if not the most historic team that's still around in NASCAR right now. If that's going to make them more competitive and help them stick around that much longer, again, saying this, Kyle Busch fan who basically effectively got knocked out of the play. That was his chance. He's not gonna. RCR is not gonna go win Darlington.
No.
Spoiler alert to my pick, I guess. But uh, he beat out my driver, and I'm here. I'm here a few days removed, thinking about all the ramifications and the bigger picture. Now that I'm able to take a step back and be like, you know what, it's not so bad, and maybe Josh Berry can go get wins 101 through 105 over the next however long he's with the team. Um, so I think Josh Berry is going to be put in a much better seat next year. I think this helps elevate Harrison Burton a little bit, although I do think it came a little late in the season for him to get a quality ride. But it shows that they didn't waste all their time for nothing on this kid. Um, and again, if this happens to a more divisive guy, I think it's different. But everybody's got great things to say about Harrison Burton too. Um, I
He
go
knows how to
back and
take a
forth a
punch.
lot. I go back and forth a lot, and I think after I watched the race, I was tweeting a lot of like, "Oh, this winning your in system is garbage and whatever. I can't believe this points." And I was mad, but I was just mad that Kyle lost. But
Yeah.
this is still the magic this system. Yeah, there's losers and winners, and Wood Brothers, Harrison Burton, big winners out of this, more so than just the race. And I think that's something. If you can focus on that, it's not so bad. He didn't take a spot because again, they're in the system. They run the system all year. Everybody
Yeah.
knows. Everybody knows what they have to do, and Harrison Burton was able to do it.
Yeah. Anyone could have won that race and gotten their way in, but I still think, man, last place in points, and
Yeah.
he was able to win just this one
Mhm.
race, and he's going to be back running 28th next week at Darlington, and going to be a first round exit. I'm like, man, well, I don't remember what podcast I was watching, but I think it might have been Dale Jr. down. We're going back to Dale
Mhm.
Jr. again. He was like, I don't know, man. Maybe we need to do something like the 10 drivers again, because that was like your 10 really, like, any one of these
Well,
guys could
that's your
win a
thing. Take
championship.
rip the first round off the playoffs. You go to 12.
Hmm.
But guess
I'm
what?
fine with that.
We now have 13 winners, and Harrison Burton is still the first one out. And you're still losing guys like Bubba, Busher, fucking Martin Truex Jr. doesn't have a win this year.
Yeah.
So you go back to you can go just start the playoffs in the round of 12. That's a little bit better. It's more narrowed down, but you're still gonna have people upset. You're still gonna have sponsors upset that they're not making the playoffs. And it's the point. I mean, again, we've seen it every couple of years, maybe even every year. Somebody doesn't make the playoffs that probably belong. I mean, the first year of the next gen car, Truex missed the playoffs. It was he and Blaney. We had 15 winners. Somebody on points was not going to make it that probably deserved to be in there. And Truex was sitting something like top 5 in points and missed the playoffs. It's
Yep.
the nature of the system. They sign up for it. They know what they're getting into. The teams know what they're getting into. For the good reasons, the bad. They think they
Hmm.
can go out and win a race. And if you do, you get in. And if you're sitting as a Chris Buescher, a Bubba Wallace, a Ross Chastain right now sitting on the bubble, yeah, you've had really good seasons, but there also is that caveat of being somebody who can go get it done in the stretch. And those three guys have not gone and done that. And frankly, that's on them. And maybe that's an outlandish opinion to have, but other guys have been able to find victory lane. You have Daniel Suarez and Austin Cindric sitting up there. If they can win, Chris Buescher and Bubba and Ross sure as hell can win a race.
Busher would have won goddamn Darlington earlier this year if it wasn't for Tyler Reddick, motherfucker.
Yeah, yeah. And he said the saddest, weeniest little thing. I still remember that thing, and I still think is he like tried to sound hard about it, but he sounded like a little weenie. He's like, I don't have a sticker like you do.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we in kindergarten? But again, you look at that, and that plays a role. And you think that's not in the back of Busher's mind? Maybe it's in the front of Busher's mind coming into this week at
Oh
Darlington.
yeah.
Darling, he wants to go out and win this race.
Yep.
And we'll see if he can do it. 21 points right now at the cut line, or even 27 points.
Man,
This isn't set.
this
It's
is gonna be
close to being
wild.
set. It's gonna be a good race. It's gonna be fun.
Cannot wait. I am so glad that
Mhm.
Darlington is gonna be ending the regular season here.
Yeah.
Definitely not as much of a wild card as Daytona will be, but this is gonna be just such
No,
great
but
racing.
but you also kind of want to be able to sit back and relax a little bit. I know for a fact I was pacing. I probably did 10,000 steps around my coffee table watching the race, especially when we came down to the last 30 laps of Daytona. It's like, man, I don't think I can do that again.
Yeah,
I'd
right.
rather see more straightforward strategy and attrition race. I mean, the Southern 500, even in the modern era of all these cars finishing, we still see a lot of attrition happen. I mean, last year you had Denny with the loose lug that even with all the data they had of the pit stop said it shouldn't have been loose, and it was loose. Um, I mean, you have Kyle Busch and Martin Truex blown up 2 years ago. Things that
Yep.
never happened before. Will a Toyota engine last all 500 miles at Darlington? Who knows? You're gonna
Yeah.
have to tune in and find out. And yeah, it's gonna be a long night. This race has been 5.5 hours the past couple of years, but the Southern 500 still a crown jewel, and it's still worth the watch. I'm glued to my TV all 5 hours
Yep.
usually.
Still one of the best races out there.
Mhm.
But finishing off with Daytona, we saw Parker Retzlaff get in behind Harrison Burton when they lined up the restart, not behind his manufacturer teammate and even
Didn't he
RCR
was fourth. He
affiliated.
picked fourth,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay, keep going. Keep setting me up.
and did not line up with his RCR affiliate teammate of Kyle Busch, and he tried to go and get himself a win. And now he is facing criticism from RCR and Team Chevy for helping a Ford win and not helping Kyle Busch win. But I will say that is absolute horseshit. This is this guy's second career Cup Series start, and he had the opportunity to go to victory lane the right way, not the Justin Haley way, the right way. And they're giving him shit for it. I feel bad. I understand, like, yeah, you get the manufacturer rules at these kind of tracks, which I think is some of the
Hmm.
biggest bunch of horse shit that I've ever heard. I've hated that rule ever since they've started doing it at these drafting tracks. Um, but yeah, I think it's just a crack of shit of what this guy's getting for trying to go out and make a name for yourself, make a name for the sponsor that's been backing him ever since he's entered the Xfinity series a few years ago for Funkaway. I feel real bad for the guy.
If we can lift the curtain here for just a bit, you have to remember that this is a high dollar industry. This is a business, and the kid does not know the business, whether it's his fault or not. And that sucks because whose engine is in that car? It's an ECR engine. Who helps Beard Motorsports put their cars together? It's RCR. Yes, they tell him, don't push that 21 to the win. We got a guy that gets in there. He's still out there. He's still a kid. He's got to figure out all these things. Yeah, he's thinking, oh, if Kyle Busch breaks up the 21, I got a chance to win. He pulls it up to the choose cone fourth. One goes high, one goes low, another goes low. What do you expect him to pull in and give up a row to go behind the 20 car? Nobody's pointing out that Kyle Busch over his radio is like, yeah, I think I'd rather be with the 20 than some guy I don't know. This is
I
my old
didn't know
teammate.
that.
Yeah, they I believe, maybe I'm making that up, but I mean, or maybe that's what the broadcast was saying. But would you rather go with a guy who's in his second race ever or an old teammate who you've driven around for years and years and years, whether or not you're teammates? All of these little
Yeah.
decisions matter. And this is the quintessential definition of scapegoat for sure. I don't think Parker Retzlaff did anything wrong. The line fell apart behind Kyle coming off two. The Kyle, you go back and watch the replay, Kyle's sitting out in front of both lines, but by the time the 21 builds a run, it looks like the lines are evening out. It's a crapshoot which line to choose. Yeah, I wish I could go back in time and tell Kyle to go to the top and cover that. But who knows what that does to the 20 and whatnot, and we're telling a whole different story. Um, so yeah, it's a business. These old men in their ivory towers are going to sit there and be like, this kid didn't follow orders. He could have pushed an ECR Chevy, RCR affiliated Chevy to the win. And instead, he pushed a Ford to the win. Like, he did not. At
Yeah.
the end of the race, there's no more rules. And it better not affect his prospects going forward.
No.
But the unfortunate things, we know who Richard Childress is. We know how RCR operates.
They don't like the little nerdy guys, man. Look what they did to
He's
Sheldon. Look what they're doing to Parker. They don't like guys with glasses.
he's gonna take this way too personally and make a stupid decision on a really promising driver and give up on him because of this one tiny incident. But again, on the flip side, you look at it and you see, I just lost my mouse. You see Kyle running where he is in points, and we know how much money that the Wood brothers just made running in points. So this was a big high dollar decision and high dollar deal. So you got to look at both sides, and it's an ugly part of the business. But you just hope that it doesn't affect Parker for too long.
No, I don't think it will really affect them. I mean,
It's just
I think it's gonna
it's
get more eyeballs on him for the way he raced for
yeah, second start, you go out there, you survive the wrecks, you show up at the end, and you do your best.
yeah.
If I'm a team owner, that's what I'm looking for. And if RCR is going to give up on a prospect like that, if I'm another team owner that's not RCR, I'd be like, all right, come over here. We'll give you
Yeah.
a shot.
Their loss.
Hmm.
And everyone should know at that point, teammates don't matter. You're going for the win. And we've seen that
No.
so many times in NASCAR where so many guys will just give up on their teammate, try and get that last lap pass to get that victory.
I mean,
Um,
Harrison's block goes the wrong way coming into the trioval. He spins through the infield, slows down Kyle, and Parker comes around the outside like Reddick did at Talladega.
yeah.
So I mean, this could have been a whole different story. The cut line could have been back where it is because some random one-off driver won the race. And it's Parker Retzlaff, for all we know. I
Right.
mean, this is again another reason. It's the nature of these super speedways. It's like split second decisions can be make or break, and everything worked out for Harrison Burton, and now people are trying to find a scapegoat, and poor Parker Retzlaff. I think he'll land on his feet. I think he'll have the support of the most of the garage, even if he doesn't have the support of the people that he was building towards.
Oh, definitely. I think he'll be fine, and he'll keep getting that support.
Yeah.
I mean, no issue for the guy. He's young, gonna make mistakes like that.
Yeah. Mistakes. He's learning. He's learning.
He's learning.
It's like,
Yeah.
are you bad at this or are you new at this? That's the thing. And if RCR for a second thinks he's bad at this, they're not looking at the same driver we're looking at.
Yeah. Exactly, man. All right, so let's move over to Milwaukee for the Truck Series. Lane Riggs. Oh man, yeah, he hurt that shoulder,
Ugh.
pumping his fist in the air for his first Truck Series
Got a lot
victory.
of pent up energy.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, this guy's been struggling all season long. He finally found his stride for the past few weeks, and now he put himself in the victory lane. Too bad that this
Oh,
was
it's a gut punch.
first race of the
Oh,
playoffs and he's not in. But this has just got to feel good for him going into next season. Wherever he's going, I don't know if he's
oh,
still going to be running with FRM next year in the Truck Series or not. But big motivation, but it's also a gut punch.
you're looking at the ticker and it was like the top 10 was Lane Riggs and then like 9 yellow banners below. He had the whole playoff field beat. I mean, it's just unfortunate that he's not there to play for the win there. But maybe it helped lift the pressure off and maybe it's what actually got him to get it done. You'll love it for the guy. That 38 truck had more in it and he just drove away at the end of the race. So good for him. And yeah, a lot of pent up energy. I don't think I've ever seen somebody get a non-contact injury in NASCAR. That's for sure.
Right? Well, Brad Kozlowski when he cut his hand open from breaking that champagne bottle. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But the winning's already done there, but I guess the winning's already done here too. Yeah, happy
another
for
one I
Lane.
saw.
Hopefully this opens the waterfall for him, so to speak, opens the spout of wins, and he can put that 38 truck up for contention more and more this year.
Yeah. Then another one I saw was when Cole Custer fell off his car when he was celebrating at
Yeah.
I think it was Kentucky when he was trying to
Yeah.
stone cold it. So
these guys get emotional and they may not think things all the way through by the time they actually go do them. And who would have thought going like this is just going to throw your shoulder out of
Oh
place?
yeah. But when he got
The
in the
poor
victory lane,
guy, he's up on top of the truck and his team's running out there. I can't imagine what they're all saying to him. He's like, get me down, get me down, get me down, get me down. I hurt myself. And they're like trying to celebrate. They're like, wait, guys, this is serious for a second. He actually hurt himself.
and
Are
they
you
put
good?
it back in
You good?
place.
All right, yeah, we put it back in place. We're good. Yeah, let's celebrate.
Oh
Excellent.
man, that was
Excellent.
great. So good for Lane Riggs. And Tom, you said it before the show started. We had a Riggs, a Burton, and a Truex win this weekend, and it's not
Amazing.
the ones that you would think of. So pretty damn
Amazing.
cool.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you see these guys grown up. I mean, all these pictures come out, and some of these guys are kids when we were kids and whatnot. But you see their dads or their granddads even come out and race and do really well. And now the next generation's upon us. Harrison Burton is the first Cup Series winner to be born in this millennium.
Yeah.
So our prime's officially past, Ian. That's my
Damn it.
dreams of becoming a NASCAR driver are probably low. Non-zero, but
Yeah.
low.
Not zero. I mean, look what Shane Van Gisbergen did. He's a
Yeah, but
37-year-old rookie.
he's a pretty stout driver somewhere else before he came to NASCAR. So
You know what? I'm pretty good on iRacing. Sign me
I
up,
can't
coach.
even win a race on iRacing. So
Oh man.
I
All
can't
right,
even win a
guys.
race on Drafty Car because my app keeps crashing before I get a
Oh
lap
man.
into it. I can't even finish a lap in Drafty Car. The app just keeps crashing on me.
Oh man.
So
I've had some good
Android
luck.
problems.
Yeah, I got
Android
3 wins
problems.
on that Apple iPhone,
Hell
bud.
yeah.
So.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys. Well, we're gonna take a quick break. When we come back, we're gonna be making our Darlington picks. So stay tuned. All right, let's kick off with the Xfinity series with the Sports Clips 200. Got 200-mile race, 147 laps. Stages 1 and 2 will be 45 laps each, and the final will be 57. Previous winners that we've had here, Allgaier won here in the spring this year, and Denny Hamlin won here last fall. Loves coming here for the Xfinity Series race, but he will not be in this one. Some notables that we do have, though, are Joey Logano back in the 15 for AM Racing. We saw him wheel that thing around at the Chicago Street Course. Chase Elliott will be in the 17 for Hendrick Motorsports. Christopher Bell will be in the 20 for Joe Gibbs Racing. Noah Gregson will be in the 30 for Rhett Jones Racing. Carson Kvapil, 88 for Junior Motorsports. And Ross Chastain will be in that 92 for DGM Racing. So, Tom, we got a lot of big hitters in this one coming to the Lady in Black. Who is your winner for this Saturday?
It just looking at this list, it just shows that these guys really want to race this track. They really want to show it who's boss. And that's why we see so many cup drivers and even other notable names come in and want to jump in this race. I think Ross Chastain is going to be a really, really stout pick. I think Carson Quaffle is going to shine on this type of racetrack. But I got to go with the car that's been winning all year, no matter who gets in it, and that's the 20 car, Christopher Bell. Believe we've seen him win a few times here before in the Xfinity Series, and he's going to have what it takes. And that 20 car is fast. Ryan Truex can get in that car and win in multiple places. Seen Eric Almirola win in that place. Christopher Bell knows the system. His lights out in the Xfinity car. He'll get it done at Darlington.
Yeah, absolutely. Great pick you got there, but I gotta go with that 17 car, Chase Elliott. I feel like he's one of the veterans coming down here, and
Mm-hmm.
he really loves running these Xfinity Series cars. He won earlier this year too in an Xfinity Series car as well. So should be interesting to see how well he does at the Lady in Black, and I think he'll take it to victory lane.
I mean, that's a great pick. The 17 car is always an anomaly to me, just because like if it's mechanically sound, you'll see them up there. But I always feel like they get one or two things that sets them back early on in a race that they kind of have to figure out just because they're not running it all the time. But good thing this is a tough track and a long race, and they'll be having to figure it out.
Yeah.
Um,
All right, guys, let's make our picks for the Southern 500 on Sunday night. 500 miles, 367 laps. Stages 1 and 2 will be 115 laps each, and the final will be 137. Previous winners that we had here, Brad Keselowski won here earlier this spring, and Kyle Larson won here last fall for the Southern 500. Going to be a great race. This is going to end our regular season for the Cup Series. Very excited for this race. So, Tom, who do you got going to victory lane at the Lady in Black on Sunday night? Going to be a fun night.
we have a great bubble battle going into this race that's going to play into a lot of decisions that are made. We have a regular season points battle that's going to play into a lot of decisions. 3 guys are still available for this to get that done. I just think it's going to be intriguing to watch all the way around. Really exciting race. But I think it's a guy who's been struggling these past few weeks, but knows how to get it done here. Was one almost good pit stop away from winning this race last year, and that's Denny Hamlin. He showed the speed past few weeks. He's just has not had the luck getting caught up in the first wreck at Daytona. He had a race win taken away from him so unfortunately by none of stuff that he did. All Toyota when they just sent back the wrong engine, and then somebody at Toyota was like, oh, this engine usually these have red seals, they usually have blue seals, oh well, and then just unsealed this engine that was supposed to be inspected by NASCAR encumbers his Bristol win. It's just been an awful week, an awful few weeks for Denny. But he loves this track. We mentioned it with Xfinity. It seems like he's always running the Xfinity race here. And he was one almost bad pit stop away from winning this race last year. I don't see why he can't do it again.
Yeah, man. I mean, when I think of Darlington, I always Denny Hamlin's the first driver I
Yeah,
always think of. This guy dominates here. Not a bad pick at all, man.
no.
But I gotta go for the guy who is seeking redemption at the Lady in Black. Um, Chris Buescher, and he was so close to victory lane earlier this year. Tyler Reddick tried doing a slide job on him, unsuccessfully slammed into him.
Ugh.
Both their tires went down, and Brad Keselowski just came by and said, "Thank you very much for his first win as a driver owner with RFK Racing." So RFK looked good back in May or back whenever we ran here last,
It's been a long
and
time.
it's been a while, but I am excited for this one, and I really do think it's going to be RFK car. Chris Buescher back in victory lane. This guy's he is how many points is he up right now? 21.
21.
Doesn't even have to worry about it
No, he
if he
won't.
goes out and wins this thing. So gonna be a stressful race with
Hmm.
all these guys that are on the bubble here. Um, man, this is gonna be exciting.
Bubba and Ross are not going to pull over. Uh,
No,
they're going
especially
to
Ross.
27 points, 21 points. Not a lot to overcome, but that doesn't mean Chris Buescher is going to pull over either. He's got his own redemption to look for. Amazing looking back at that Darlington race. I mean, pretty sure that was before the first Talladega. So both those
Yep.
drivers didn't have, or I guess,
No, no, it
no, it
was
was
no,
after.
it
It
was
was
after. Yeah.
after. But Tyler Reddick had one win. Chris Buescher didn't have any. He was going to get that win, lock himself in the playoffs. And it shows you the difference. Tyler Reddick's able to go out there now. He's going to challenge for the regular season championship, and Chris Buescher's fighting for his life here. It shows you how these little moments in the season can come to a head in pretty big ways. And now we're talking about these two guys for two completely different reasons at this point of the season.
Funny how it comes down to it, man. But
But I don't know if Tyler Reddick, he's sitting right now. If we can move on to the point season here, he's 17 points ahead of Kyle Larson, and Kyle Larson is always running up the front at this racetrack. And I feel like Kyle Larson's not going to have too much to prove. Yes, he's going to be going for that championship, but he's going to do it smart. It's not going to be the wild Kyle Larson we're used to seeing. He knows he can lock it down, and I don't. And Tyler Reddick's kind of sporadic when it comes to this track. Yes, he's good, but again, he doesn't quite have the stuff to go, and he wrecks out going for the lead, or wrecks somebody else out going for the lead. Kyle Larson's always up there running top three here, so I think it'll be a close between those two.
man,
Chase
Chase
Elliott
Elliott,
again is
he's
still
only
having this.
1 point behind Larson.
He's having this weirdly quiet season. One win, you never know he's there, and he's just sitting there, sixth, fifth, fourth, seventh, third. It's just like
Hmm.
he's not threatening to win, but he's always there. So I think that's going to be a very intriguing battle, and I think Kyle Larson's going to win the regular season championship. Man, you wish that he wishes that there's no rain in Indy, no rain in Charlotte, and he can have that extra race under his belt because that 5 car, even with all guy in it, was bad fast. So
Dude, that's
if
just
he has an
crazy to
extra
think
race,
that.
if he has an extra race, this isn't even a conversation. But the
No,
fact that 2311 is even fighting for a regular season championship in their fourth year of existence. I
pretty
mean,
cool.
Trackhouse and 2311 started at the same time. Trackhouse kind of fired out of the cannon, and it's almost a tortoise in the hare thing. They spent too much too soon, and the tortoise in 2311 crawled out and has now built a more consistent base to go out there. And it's amazing that within Denny's 5 year plan, he's built a competitive race team that can go out for championships right away. It's really cool.
Yeah, definitely. Just absolutely incredible. He's just
Mm-hmm.
outrunning these guys in Hendrick and Penske equipment and Joe Gibbs. It's absolutely incredible. But yeah, dude, like Kyle Larson, he missed one full race and he's still second in points, only 17 points behind the
Yeah.
leader. I
Incredible
hate the
season.
guy so much. I hate to praise him so much, but god damn, dude, he's good.
He's talented
Fuck,
for
man.
sure,
Yeah.
for sure. But also wreck himself out at Michigan
Yeah. And then
or
he
get
does shit
or
like
get
that,
caught
which
up in wrecks at Daytona. And again, I won't blame him for Daytona, but self-spinning at Michigan and air when he's trying to be a little too aggressive too early is the note, that little asterisk that's always hanging on Kyle Larson's name. Is he's checkers or wreckers, and sometimes he tries to take way more than he needs to at certain times in the race. And that will always, I think, be Larson's asterisk. But at the same time, to be that good of a race car driver, you have to find the edge to know where your limits are. And if he's going to push it over the edge every once in a while, he can also get the results on the end when he finds that edge and realize he can swim on it.
Yep. That is the story of Kyle Larson, man. Pretty much
Yeah.
well put. But
Meanwhile,
man,
Max Verstappen lost by 20 seconds this week. So who's the
oh,
best? Who's the best racing car driver in the world? Oh no,
Dale Earnhardt. Dale Earnhardt, man. Fuck
Oh,
y'all.
no. All right, all right.
Alrighty, guys. Well, I think that is a good spot to end our show here. Make sure to tune into these races this weekend, especially the Cup Series race, with this being the
Hmm.
final race of the regular season. It is going to be one hell of a battle with these guys running for the regular season championship with this bubble. Um, damn, I'm so excited. I haven't been this
Uh-huh.
excited for a race in a while, and I'm not even going. Going to be a
It's great. And
blast
then
with
you don't have to
Tom.
go to work
Any
on
closing
Monday
thoughts for
because
us?
you don't have to go to work on Monday because it's a holiday, and it's just I love long races that do day to night transitions and their strategy and changes and all that. And you'll see comers and goers here from the beginning to the end. You see attrition at this race. This track is just such an anomaly. It's so hard to drive. And it's fun to watch these guys who are the best in the world go out there and struggle a little bit. We love when our drivers are put in uncomfortable and tough positions, and we see that all the time at Darlington. It's a narrow racetrack. There's a lot of speed. There's not a lot of margin for error. It's just an excellent race to watch.
Absolutely. Well said, brother. Alrighty, guys. Well, that will do it for us here at the Stock Car Spectacles. If you haven't yet, make sure to like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and check out all of our social media links down below. So, for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jortson,
And I'm Tom Hoblett.
and we'll see you guys next time. Enjoy the races.